The title of today's stream was Bitcoin to 40K question mark. But then I started talking to today's guest, Chris, behind the scenes, and I realized that maybe I wasn't bullish enough and we should be talking about Bitcoin to 50K. So I changed the title. Why does he think this is going to happen? Well, because of the charts, obviously. And if you guys don't know, Chris was my own mentor, one of my favorite guests. Always love to have him here. So we're going to just talk some charts, look at some trades, take it back to the old school. Honestly, you guys don't want to miss this. Let's go.
Let's go.
What is up, everybody? I'm Scott Melker, also known as the Wolf of Wall Street. Before we get started, please subscribe to the channel and take that Doge/Shiba Inu oven mitt that you have handy eating ramen and slap it right on the like button. Today's a good day to bring out the Doge ramen oven mitt because we are in peak meme season. Usually the top, to be honest, but I don't know. I don't know the history is going to necessarily repeat itself, but we got Pepes and Schleppes and Mick Pepes and MacD Pepes, and now we've got Pepes on Bitcoin. Oh my God, that has to be triggering the Bitcoin maxis to no end. You guys might have caught my Twitter spaces last Tuesday, a week ago. I had Jeff Booth, a bunch of Bitcoiners, and I said, you know, you guys can convince me, make me a Bitcoiner. And I said, literally a week ago, well, what's going to prevent all these amazing things being built on Bitcoin, people just attaching tokens to them, right? And then you basically get all the same things that you hate on Bitcoin and elsewhere. They were like, yeah, maybe that would happen. I don't know. Well, now we have BRC20 tokens and a whole market with like 120 million already in market cap of meme tokens being built on Bitcoin and pumped and dumped. And the maxis must literally be having spastic heart attacks. I don't know. Absolutely awful. Anyways, going to bring on today's guest and we can talk about it all because it's a lot more fun to talk about these ridiculous things with friends. Pepe, man. Pepe, future of finance. Oh, you're mute. For some reason, I can't hear you, Chris. We could hear you before, but I can't hear you now. You're not muted, though. Not in the system. I might have to talk about things. Maybe I should sing the Jeopardy theme music. Now you're muted. We had you before, but anyways, yeah, man. Look, now we're going to watch Chris do the technological things. This is going to be fun. This is quality entertainment. Should we say mean things about him while he can't respond? His audio worked perfectly like 1 minute ago. Literally 1 minute ago. Who knows, man? Who knows? Pepe. Who wants to talk about Pepe? You guys? I want to talk about Pepe. I don't want to talk about Pepe. We don't talk about Pepe. No. But yeah, man, we're in full meme season once again. I mean, I can remember historically the time when we absolutely go ham on the memes being the tops. Like, I don't know, Elon Musk going on Saturday Night Live and Doge being 70 cents, right? We're going to see if we can hear him. You ready?
All right. Can you hear me?
The man is back. We did it.
Great. All right. I don't know what happened there, man. You pulled me up live and all of a sudden there it was.
That's called trolling. You're surprised. Like Ashton Kutcher jumps out and tells you that you've been punked. That's basically what just happened. But yeah, it worked. It's amazing. I see some people over here in the audience that are from the old Texas, like from the very, very beginning of the Discord. Data over there. I see him. Yeah, you got the OG fans. But what do you make of this quick sort of meme coin trend we're seeing right now?
Well, man, you said earlier, usually it's kind of when you're getting toward the top of the market there. I think it could get interesting just with the way everything else is setting up. I'm not necessarily sure that that Bitcoin has found a top for that'll last for 2 months or anything like that. I'm still looking for that, I think. You want me to pull out that Pepe chart real quick?
You want to do Pepe? Maybe we should start at Bitcoin and ease into the memes.
All right. Yeah. Well, this is a chart. I posted this not too long back, and it really got some traction. I got a lot of people who weren't too happy with it. Others that were. And basically guys, it's just a couple of technical lines that we're kind of watching here. Most importantly to me is this weekly pivot. We broke out through it, large candle spread, large volume. That's an impulsive breakout. We've come back and tested a few times. Most often when this happens, the pivot holds and then we rally up to the R1 pivot. So in this case, because we're talking about the weekly, it would be up to the weekly R1. We just kind of go sideways on top of here. Now, just with this chart alone, all we really have is this resistance into support right here. And then we've got what may or may not be a parabolic kind of rally here. Okay. Leading up into this, we had the hidden bullish divergence, which actually at the very low there here, it gets a little bit of a bullish divergence. And then we had Stoke RSI was getting ready to break out. So I'm like, yeah, we've got all that set up. Maybe sooner rather than later, we're going to have this potential rally into 50K. Now, I don't have my Wyckoff chart on here. I couldn't find it right off. But basically, leading into this, I've been talking about this bottoming process since back in June over here with this decline right here. And so basically what we have, according to Wyckoff here, based on the price action and the volume, suggests that we have our, we have basically a selling climax down here up into an automatic rally, secondary test pushes up. And so then you get this thing here, and this is what's throwing people off. We refer to this as a terminal shakeout. And basically the idea of a terminal shakeout in Wyckoff is it's just this last final push down below the swing lows and the idea below the range low there. And the idea is to trap your breakdown traders as well as to convince people that it's going to go lower. So you have people holding on to people going short, and then you just stop it, right? And so you get this real heavy volume, and that usually results in some sideways as the market kind of recovers from that sudden just drop before you end up rallying up. Now, anybody that's been following me on Twitter, because that's where I am mostly on social media, I've been talking about all this step by step since last June. This whole movement right here, everything that's basically happened.
And that terminal shakeout is FTX.
Yeah, that was FTX. Yeah.
Right.
And you would argue that's such a big thing, right? This was, again, you had all the other ones here, right? You had all these different kind of drops here, the 3 Hours Capital, Celsius, Voyager stuff, all that kind of stuff. And then you get to the granddaddy, like the final boss here, the FTX. And that's all you got. You got this basically what becomes like it's 10% below the low. That's it. Heavy volume. And so what this tells you is when you get all this heavy volume down here at the bottom like this, and then it doesn't go any further, it tells you that big players are down there buying up. They're sitting there with the think of a whale sitting out there getting all that food coming in, right? They're just sitting there with their mouths open, and people just shoving down into it. And then we get this move up, and so the biggest thing once you're working with Wyckoff is this idea that you get this sideways action above that range, and it holds up there. And this is what we kind of get is this pullback becomes this back up to the edge of the creek, and the creek is just basically your supply. And so you kind of break out above the supply on large volume, large candle spread right here. And then sometimes you'll come back and you'll back up the edge of the creek. You'll back up to that supply and then you go on. So the key of what we look here, we look and see, okay, do we get this kind of sideways structure above that range? And so far it's holding. And so usually when you do that, again, forget everything else we've done here. This usually kind of says, yeah, we're ready to head up higher. Now, I didn't do a PNF count on this. There is a great group called Wyckoff Analytics, and they did a PNF count, and that PNF count is around it's upper 40s, like 48,000, 49,000 target right now. So again, are we about to see an impulsive rally into 50K? I mean, I think it's there, but it still has to actually break out to do it. So
Wyckoff definitely wasn't from like our parts in the South, or else he would have called it the creek.
Right? The creek, back up the edge of the creek.
we wouldn't have had a creek if Wyckoff was Southern. I'm from Northern Florida. Chris is from Texas, for those who missed it. But yeah, I mean, pulling up kind of the same daily chart. There was no question we were going to see this monster resistance in the area that we're at right now. Right? I mean, this was the whole pause on the way down there. It was the only place that once you kind of moved through here, there's a massive gap. But if we break through that, and we've already basically removed all that supply, you got to be looking at least 40,
You have to, yeah,
right?
gap right
Up to
there,
here.
yeah.
So like, even if we're not talking about 50, we should definitely be talking about 40.
Exactly. Yeah.
The question is, what's the downside case? So, I mean, we all know parabolas are very questionable. I love them as well. But like, you could like take the top of that and alter the angle of the parabola. So this is not very exact, right? So
yeah.
the parabolic idea intact, but like, I just gotta say to people, like, you don't play like a bounce off the line on the parabola as like an exact entry, because you can just kind of change the way it's formatted. But what's the downside here? Is it a break of the parabola? Is it that red line? Is it that we kind of put in a head and shoulders?
For me, honestly, it's an impulsive breakdown above the week or below the weekly pivot. I think if we get an impulsive move down below that weekly pivot, which is right around 26,700, I think that could lead to lower. Obviously everybody's talking about it 25, sure, potentially.
I mean, 25 makes a ton of sense, which is why it rarely happens.
Yeah, right, exactly. We got about a 21 or 21,000, 20,900 kind of area here. And then, I mean, realistically, if we kept on coming down here, I mean, we've still got this kind of 16,800 kind of area down here. I mean, there's a lot of, you can see here on the VPVR over here, your volume by price level. You can see that, coming back here from all the way here in March of last year, that the most of that volume has come right down there at that low. So,
yeah,
I
just don't see where the supply would come from. Listen, I've been wrong a lot of times before, but like, for price to cut in half from here, who's selling? Like, where is it? All the forced selling feels like it was gone. I mean, we even saw Genesis declare bankruptcy, where everyone was talking about, like DCG would be the next shoe to drop, and nothing happened, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And people say if Binance fails, which I don't see why it would, but that it would be the end of the market. But people said the same thing about FTX, and 2 months later, price was all the way back where it started. I would hate to be proven wrong. It could happen, but I like, where are the sellers? Who's going to sell that much with this lack of liquidity?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, we're traders, right? Traders are speculators. I've been trying to push this point a lot more lately because I don't think people really get it, But speculation, defined basically means there is no guarantee. There's risk. You have to, you're going to have risk if you're a trader. So, I think a lot of people get out there and they get scared of these narratives because they don't really understand how to read markets and whatnot. Like everything I just talked about here is argued about constantly. Everybody, oh no, you're wrong, because some trader with some more followers says something different, and it doesn't matter that I've been doing this particular, Wyckoff thing for 15 years. And maybe they just started, right? It doesn't matter. And so, new traders come in and they get caught up in the people that, have a lot of followers and have maybe done well in one direction or the other direction. And it makes them really biased. It makes it really difficult to kind of change that thought process. And so when you put something like this up there, they fight it. And, again, I think you bring up a great point. Where does that liquidity come from? We've got, the structure is screaming accumulation here, which means your big players have accumulated. They don't, they're not going to try and dump this back down here, right? They're accumulating for the long term, right? This whole process here was how long? This was, if we look at June here to break out there, 271 days. I mean, everybody else is like, oh, this is accumulation here. No, that's not accumulation. This whole thing is here. But, again, that's with people who always think that, they want to get the lowest price, right? But the lowest price is just an event. It's just an event. Your bottom is actually this accumulation area. Same thing with distribution, right? The topmost price is just an event. It's something that happens one time, but that whole range around it is that distribution. And I think if traders kind of start to understand that, they've got a lot better chance of remaining in the market, because if you're chasing those absolute highs and lows, you're just going to get caught every time.
Yeah, here's the weekly halving chart, right? I don't know if you've seen this or whatever, but I always joke, you can kind of just fall on your head, bump your head, and have missed the last 2 years, and it wouldn't have mattered all the macro that you watched. You can just kind of look at this cycle. Exactly. But to your point, like in 15, I mean, this was accumulation for this long, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, it broke above. And by the way, in that phase, it revisited the lows twice from here, right? My lines are not working very well. And then on this bottom, we all remember this one. Yeah, we had this monster move up to 14K, but you still had 5 months here of sideways. And that also, with COVID, came back to almost visit the lows, right? So I guess the question then is, we have all this accumulation here. Then you kind of had the bullish divergence with RSI and the weekly. And every one of these bottoms has been when the weekly RSI hit oversold.
Yep.
So, right. All this accumulation. The question is, do we, like with these other ones, do we eventually come back to test it before we spring?
Yeah.
Or are we just massively sideways here until the next halving, which is all the way out here, because
that would kill people. That would destroy them.
like
They'd be so upset. Yeah.
Yay. Right. But what I just drew, that hits 50, that hits the lows. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, definitely possible. A lot of people are always like, okay, well, what do you think's going to happen? Or, you'll put your thought out there, be like, oh, but this is possible. Well, guys, anything's possible. As traders, we got to look like, okay, what's more probable at that time? And then they get upset if you change your mind later and you go, okay, well, this is done. But they don't understand. Again, as you're moving along, more information comes in. As more information comes in, you should be changing your thesis if it needs to be because of that new information.
Yeah. And so every time I said it was hit oversold RSI in the weekly, we almost got there, but we still didn't even hit overbought. And when you're looking at a weekly, people don't realize you can stay overbought for a year. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like you can just be there. That's the power zone. Getting overbought, oversold doesn't stay long, but overbought weekly that's when you're just getting started. So, right. Yeah. I mean, if you pop up here, we're talking about big potential upside there with RSI, but here, I'll go back to, your charts here now. Okay. So I think, we're generally bullish on Bitcoin. Does the recession or macro or any of that scare you?
No, man, most of the people that talk about macro, they've been talking again for over a year and a half now about the recession coming and everything. It hasn't hit yet. It doesn't mean it can't happen. But I hope one thing that people who aren't as well versed in all this take to heart here now is that, again, everybody kind of spews out that whole, the market can stay rational longer than you can stay liquid. And then they go, oh, but the macro. Well, yeah, it may happen, but when is it going to happen? If you're worried about that, you've missed almost 100% rally off the November low. 6 months of rally now. You've missed that because you were so worried about the macro, right? So, again, the way I tend to look at charts is that they're a product of what's going on in society, right? So it's this whole social mood that tells you in the charts how people are feeling. Most people, they look at the charts, they go, okay, well, the charts are going to do this, and then we're going to do something. But I think it's the other way around because you have your business owners, you have your big funds and whatever, and they're, doing what they do based on what they think is going to happen, or in case of businesses, what they see happening. They're going to pull back investment. They're going to start laying people off if the economy's not looking so good, if they're not selling as much and whatever. So all this comes into the charts. So when I always talk about the news being in the charts, and what I mean is all this stuff is already in there. We just have to try and figure out how to read it correctly. When we do that. So, again, you can make this macro case all you want all day long, no matter what it is, one way or the other, but you're based on things, that you hope or may think may happen rather than the charts, which are telling you, well, here's what's actually going on.
Can you double click on the Stoke and make it larger?
Yeah.
Because something really interesting, just as looking at yours, there's no single time where Stoke went to oversold and didn't make it back to overbought with price rising. So it got rejected basically there at the 50. I guess looking back at the end of 2022, it did the exact same thing, but continued up.
Yep.
So you have to at least imagine that since Stoke is overbought, there's literally not a single time here it went overbought that didn't go right back up to, oversold, go back up to overbought. It's only halfway there.
So there we go, right? There's 50.
I didn't even look at this until I was looking at it on your chart.
Yeah.
There are times it made it up to overbought and, rocked back to oversold, but that's about the most predictable thing you could ever see. And it hasn't done it yet.
Yep. And it's the weekly, so it takes
at least mid 30s or 40.
What was that?
I said, that's at least mid 30s or 40.
Yeah, it seems like it, right? It does. It's just another thing that kind of goes in there. Now, anybody watching, again, Scott, myself, traders that do this, we don't just look at one indicator. It's never just, this one thing happens and okay, that's it.
I just bought $7 million worth of Bitcoin when I saw that. Actually,
just off that, right?
Bought, 100x.
But there's a confluence of factors that happening, and this in particular right here, it's the confluence of this, support here. This weekly support, this potential kind of parabola. And that's just the support area, all that confluence in that single area. So that in itself is a reason to be looking at it. And then, of course, if you look at things like, Wyckoff or the Wyckoff PNF count, or, you can even do, Elliott wave, to kind of get you up there. But my thought is, if we're up above this pivot and we've done this and we retested support here, we should remain above that weekly pivot. So, again, could it break down? Let's say this thing kind of rallies up off here and gets to 40,000. Could it break down toward, the low? Sure, it could. But the odds are, what I've noticed in my history of trading pivots is that if you get a clear break like this above it and you retest this support and you break out higher, most of the time it will remain above that weekly pivot. It'll go up and then it'll come back down and retest the pivot, and then it'll go up higher, but it won't actually sit there and break down toward the lows again. So nothing's 100%, but again, if you're wondering why I'm thinking this is just this whole bunch of reasons that we're kind of looking at.
You want to take a look at ETH?
Look at ETH? Yeah.
Yeah, let's take a look at Ethereum. If we're going to actually do a charting day here, we got to at least get in the big majors.
Yeah, exactly.
Same idea there. Yeah.
All I did here was I just kind of pulled off these bars from this previous low from the 2018 here. And I did that not to say that that's exactly what's going to happen here, but to show, because everybody is, it's an ABC, it's an ABC. And I'm trying to let them know, look, this was a 1-2 heading up in terms of Elliott wave. And you've got that same basic structure here. You can see that right there, rallies right up here, pulls back, we're going right there at the pivot, right? So we're looking for an impulsive breakout above that pivot that closes above it. And that should have us rallying up there. I've got 34.16 and then 40,050, 92 or whatever, 4,050 in 92 cents up there. But again, same kind of structure really as what we've got on Bitcoin, just right below the pivot. But we've got that same resistance to support kind of red line there. We've got the same kind of parabola thing going. We've been sideways here for 315 days. This is still part of the same accumulation structure here. And so, yeah, there's a lot going on there. I'm looking for, if we can get that impulsive breakout above that swing high there. I mean, again, I think, ultimately 34.16, potentially 4,050 kind of area before we get a decent pullback.
Yeah, I'm looking now, and I haven't looked at this in quite a while, and I decided to pull some fibs because I haven't done it in forever. Here's a ETH Bitcoin, so I guess to see which is going to outperform. Pretty perfect, actually. If you pull from the 0.156 high all the way down to the last low here, I mean, look at that. I know the 50 is not a fib level for all of those who are going to yell 50 is not a fib. It's the Dow level. It counts. It's just not a Fibonacci level, but it is a key level. But I mean, look at it's trading literally like right to that 50, perfectly down to the 23.6 on that drop, which is kind of crazy because you're pulling back from here. And I mean, this should rally up to the golden pocket. So you should see 0.1 on the ETH Bitcoin rally, which to me means that if you like Bitcoin here, you got to like ETH even better. I literally just pulled the fibs here while you were talking. And this is bouncing right back off the 23.6. This is pulling from the highs of 48.68 down to the low of 8.69. I mean, this hasn't even gotten to the 38.2 or the 50. And then you're talking about that golden pocket is 33 to 34.
34.
I mean, you wouldn't expect after this for it to trickle back down. It could. But man, I hadn't even looked at that. But I mean, that looks, I think, ETH Bitcoin looks set up for a push to me.
Yeah. I mean, you said the 0.1 level. I've actually got, I've got kind of this count thing. Here's the thing, man. We've been going sideways for, how long has this been now? For 2 years. Yeah. 2 years.
2 years.
And so, for those that don't know, the longer you spend consolidating like that, the bigger and the stronger, the further the breakout or the breakdown is going to go. And again, if we're looking in terms of Wyckoff here, I mean, if we're looking at this price action and volume in this range here, I mean, gosh, it's screaming going up. Look at this. You get this huge spike of volume down here on this dip below the range low there. That's it. I mean, other than that, no real volume at the top, no real selling, no real strong selling going at the top. But once you get down here, like we saw in with Bitcoin there, this is June, by the way, of 2022, where Ethereum had its low. But, again, that same thing we were talking about there on Bitcoin in November, it's that breakdown, limited breakdown, huge volume coming in. You've got, in this case, you've got these great long demand wicks here. I mean, this is telling us we want to go up, and we can count 5 waves up there. So to me, it looks like 1, potentially 2 is done, just shy of the 61.8. And if so, that gives us a minimum expected wave 3 up here of 0.1209 or 0893. So yeah.
And when you zoom out, also, I mean, obviously this is a weekly, that I would pulled up. I just cleaned up the fibs while you're doing that. You had this breakout here.
Yeah.
From the entire, I mean, this should be going back to those highs. That's 0.156, the target, right? So even higher.
Yep.
Yeah,
yep.
I think Ethan is gonna. Oh God, I'm gonna trigger somebody who's here like hiding. DT would like to say that I don't smash the like button. This is biased. It's not objective analysis. This wolf got it wrong so many times, dude. I've gotten it wrong way more times than I've gotten it right. You heard it here first because I don't have a crystal ball and I'm just guessing.
That's right.
But what's my bias? Like, why? I literally don't care.
But see, people get like that though, and it's hard. It's hard if you're a trader. Here's the thing: it's hard if you don't really understand markets. You don't really understand what's going on or what's moving them. It's hard to accept that something may be different than what you've expected here. But I mean, I'm telling you, Ethereum's been moving up for almost a year, guys. Say what you want about Bitcoin. The actual low there was November, so it's been 6 months. That's still 6 months, right? After a prolonged decline. Ethereum's been moving up, guys, since June of last year. We are in May of this year. 1 more month, it has been, off the lows for a year. I mean, if you see that and you're thinking, oh, it has to go back down, go lower, I don't think that you're really understanding what you're looking at and what's going on there.
Yeah.
So
I like to make a point personally, like when I don't like something, I make a point to show up to those things and watch them. Just, to use, that's a constructive use of my time, is to make sure to go watch things that I don't like, because I'm a very positive
It is
person.
what it is.
Honestly, I don't even care. I agree with him though. I got it wrong so many times.
We all get it. But see, that's the thing. We all do it.
That's like the people you should be following is the ones who say I'm going to get it wrong a lot of the time.
They're being
Anyone
honest
who's telling you that they're not going to get it wrong and that they're right is trying to sell you something.
Yep, exactly. Guys, listen, if you're trading, the number one rule of trading is proper risk management. You guys come in looking for these secret sauce, these golden goose, these systems that you think are going to get you profits all the time. And really, the thing you should be looking for, the thing that matters more than anything else, is proper risk management. Because, most traders, we're going to get it wrong at least half the time. A lot of times even more. But, you don't have to get it right half the time or more if you're using proper risk management. And so, that's the key. But again, as you come in as new traders, you don't understand that. You're looking for that system that's going to give you all those profits, and you neglect the most important thing, which is
you can have the perfect system anyways, and then you just move your stop loss.
That's right. Emotions, they're hard.
So we got to do it now. I know you have a Pepe chart. I've never looked at one. I've never loaded one. But hey, man, it's the only thing anyone's talking about. That and SUI, I guess. SUI. But
that just came out there, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just saw because I was kind of following it on the dashboard here. But this is the trending coins on CoinGecko, and SUI and Pepe are the number 2 even right now.
Yeah.
So,
I think SUI was just listed or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it got a bunch of listings like literally today. So okay, let's PP the Pepe.
So I don't trade Pepe. I don't trade a lot of really these kind of, especially the lower market cap ones. It's just, again, I'm not trying to make $1 million overnight in a on a shit coin trade.
Some people did though.
Some people did. No, some people did. Now here's the thing. The funny thing is,
they didn't sell. They're showing their wallets. People have shown their wallets where it's like $400 to like 800 grand, and they're still sitting in those wallets. Nothing
I mean,
sold.
guys, if you've got that kind of money, get the heck out. See, the problem is most people won't. The same mentality, the same attitude is the type that buys the dollar scratch offs or puts $5 in the Powerball because they think they're going to get it right. And the problem is, as we know about lottery winners. Most lottery winners, I mean, you can even look at 10 million or 30 million, they lose it all in 3 years, within about 3 years. If you go to a casino, you know this guy, right? You go in there, you get on a hot streak, you're winning. Casino's like, hey, why don't you stick with us?
Back.
We got this beautiful
free room.
house. We'll comp you the steak dinner. We'll give you some tickets to the shows, because they know just what I said. They know that you're going to keep playing. And the longer you play, the more likely you are to lose it all. So the house always wins, right? It's the same thing in the markets, guys. If you're playing these things, okay, fine. If you're making money, take your money. Don't worry about the fact, oh, but what if it goes up higher? Because most of you have experienced that you still hold it and it ends up going back and you lose it all anyway. Or those that do make money lose it all anyway. They try to do the same thing again and again, and the profits they made go into the. But I'm looking right here, the possibility that maybe wave 4 may be complete a bit short here. Usually we look at that 38.2, which is right around 69,673 here, right in this what I would call a supply cluster here, or demand cluster, right above the pivot, right? But it looks like we want to rally here. Ultimately, we need a breakout above. If it is, this is A, this is B here. Let me kind of put this in real quick for you. And really, if you're using this count, you need a breakout above wave B to say, okay, yeah, we're heading up now. So really, we need a breakout above 143,742. And if this is the low, that gives us a minimum expected wave 5 of 3 target at 21,2660. But that's just wave 3. Then we'd come back down for wave 4, and then we'd go up a little bit higher for wave 5. So as much as I'm not a fan of this, I don't trade it. I don't own any of it. Probably never will. But if you're looking for what's going on there, I think we've probably got a wave 4 done or almost done, and then that should give us that rally up there pretty good.
I literally don't even know how to talk about these numbers. There's so many zeros.
Yeah, that's why I just mentioned the last ones.
Yeah, I know. It's like I'm pulling up a chart right now. First of all, it just looks like gratuitous that it should cut in half and come back here. Right. If not here, but you've got, we're both looking at 4 hours because there's not that much, but you got bearish divergence there, right?
Yep.
Massively overbought. Yeah, I think this keeps dropping. What do I know? Maybe down to here. Cut off 50% and then have at it. I don't know. What else are you watching now that we've done our obligatory Pepe?
Let me see here. I've got, let me see. I think IDEX looks interesting. So I pulled this one up again, not another one I'm trading, but I did pull this up. This looks like a real good accumulation.
Volume last week.
Yeah. Yeah. Huge bit of move here. Large candle spread, large volume. So again, if we're looking at Wyckoff, you get your selling climax, your automatic rally. You come on down here and, you don't get a breakdown below the range low. So there's not enough supply to come in to actually break it down. So you get on this last point of support, what we call it here. And as you can see in this whole range here, volume just drops off into that low, right? What happens after that low? Candle spreads start getting a bit bigger here. Volume starts picking up. So you got expansion of volume, expansion of candle spreads, show of strength, pulls back to last point of support again. And again, we're talking about that jump across the creek, that breakout above the above that supply right there. And so, into this new SOS. And so if we look at this, we've actually hit the weekly pivot.
Is awesome.
We've actually hit
the weekly pivot. What is that drawing tool that you use to make an actual water creek?
Right. It just, what is that? It's just that little highlighter.
Is that in TradingView or something?
Yeah.
Like third party. What? Dude, I need a highlighter to draw.
It's was that 1, 2, 3, fourth thing down below your picture there? 1, 2, 3, 4. It just looks like it's probably the first one there. Yeah, it's brushed right there.
Yeah, I see it. I never do that. Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, but if we're looking at Elliott wave as well, we can look at a 1, 2 here, and potentially, we've got some bit over here. So this could be a 3 and get a bit of a 4, and then a 5 of 3, and then a 4 back and a breakup. And so again, we're looking at that weekly pivot. And do we get an impulsive breakout that closes above it? Because if we do, then, if we get some fall through next week, it usually means we're heading up further, right? And so if we pull this back off here, we'd have to probably hit right around this, which makes a lot of sense, right? This R3 pivot right up here in the lowest resistance. That would give you then a pullback of 50% off that swing low. So you got to get your 5 waves up, 3 waves back. So right now I'm just looking at, okay, do we get that breakout here? And if so, we should be looking up there, up into that R2, R3 on the weekly. If we get a pullback first, just looking for a pullback down toward this 0.0708 kind of area, potentially. And then the breakout above higher. But this looks very much like accumulation in the structure here. And so would be looking for it to ultimately break out and rally higher there. It's just, do we pull back first or do we just break out and go? And that's the crazy thing about markets. Sometimes people just get crazy and they buy and they buy and they buy, and you don't get much of a pullback. And people
We've
get
seen
scared
that on
to get in.
Bitcoin. We've seen that on Bitcoin from 16 to 31 or whatever it's been. I mean,
Exactly. Or even out of the 2018 bear market low there up into the 2019 June high. Yeah, it was just a bunch after that sideways, just a bunch of straight up.
I'm going to entertain this one. Can we look at ADA? Do you have a Cardano chart?
I do. Let me pull it up here.
For the people.
Yeah, for the people, man. By the way, stop listening to people who are telling things are dead and whatever. Everybody said ADA was dead. They said Bitcoin was dead. They said
Litecoin's been
was
dead
dead
like 100 times. Yeah.
They said everything was dead. And at that point, I said, stop sleeping on Sol was dead. And it all popped up at that same time there, right? Right here, looking at the possibility that we could get further breakdown toward this daily S1 pivot area right around 0.3570. Just currently off the bottom here, looking at this as just the wave 2 finish off the big one. We got a 1-2 and potentially a 1-2. Well, a 1 with a flat here is 2. And then we look to go up. Weekly, I mean, there's the thing. We had this nice breakout of this descending channel resistance there. And so,
it's similar.
Again, could get a little bit more of a pullback there. But then ultimately, if we're breaking out above the swing high here, we should be looking, getting up at least to the weekly pivot, which is 0.71. And again, same thing as everything else. If we can get that impulsive breakout above there, I think there's little reason to think it won't, challenge the swing high and likely head higher per, the 1-2 kind of count here.
Yeah, you're looking at the weekly there. I was looking at the daily.
It's weekly. Yeah.
Do you look at? Have you been using MA? I mean, I know you've been through every single system, and you kind of like on any given day. But do you look at MAs at all anymore? Just I only ask because it's sitting. It's kind of like testing a breakdown of the 50 here on the daily. So,
is it? Yeah,
some people that's of serious consequence. To others, it's of none. So yeah, just and I know we've vacillated on them collectively many times. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's not something I generally tend to look at. I know people get really excited or whatever about bearish golden crosses and things like that, death crosses. But at the end of the day, guys, your moving averages or lagging indicators are based on past performance. And so most of the time when those things happen, the events have already happened. Like they've moved so far in the direction that they're telling you golden cross or death cross after the move up or the move down's already happened. Studies keep showing that there's just no consistency in that. So, I mean, if you're looking at stuff like that, I wouldn't necessarily watch it, too much.
Yeah. I remember this sort of shift from MAs to EMAs and to Fib MAs and to all the MAs. And I now default to them on my chart. At some point, I just it was easier for me on my pull down to go. So now I watch them, but I don't.
Well, I think the other big problem. The other big problem for most, I use the term amateur traders and people get really upset, or novice traders, people get really upset. And I've been doing it 3 years. Well, if you're not consistently profitable after 3 years, then you're still at that level, and that's okay. The important thing is to acknowledge it, so that way you can figure out what you need to do to get better, right? But people that are still new here, the problem is they're looking for an immediate bounce right at the MA, right? They're looking right as you hit it, or a rejection immediately as you hit it. And, with all levels, guys, pivots, MAs, Fibonacci, whatever you're looking at, they're all ranges, guys. They're not going to hit that level usually and immediately turn around. Sometimes they do, but most of the time there's this rubber band area around it. So, you can't just go, oh, well, I'm going to put my entry right here and get this massively tight stop loss because you're not using proper risk management, and then you get hit, right? You're just kind of setting yourself up to lose money on that, unfortunately.
People are asking Fibbo Swanee when he's going to come join. You guys want to do this? Should we do this next Wednesday, the three of us?
Oh man, I'll do it. Yeah, I'll be there.
Fib, you want to do it? Tell us in the chat. But 9:30 a.m. Next Wednesday, you're both invited. We can go 3 on it. We can let him do charts and we can make fun of them.
Hey, there you go.
anything, yeah, we could definitely do it. Anything, he said, we were talking about golden crosses. He said, Chris Cross will make you jump.
Jump.
So
Oh my
funny,
God, we're all
so we
old
can have
for
him up
knowing
here.
that.
I'm young. You're old. I'm young at heart. And see, we got now everybody's rapping in the comments.
Good job.
Des says, "Let's do it." So listen, man. If you're there, Misha, if you're listening, producer, I'm gonna forget. So we gotta do this. But so anything else that you're looking at here? Actually, let me ask you.
I had a couple other ones here. Let me see.
Yeah, we'll do those. But I want to ask you a general question. Knowing that we've had these sort of cycles, are you hesitant, encouraged to trade alts while Bitcoin is doing what it's doing right now, or are you just kind of looking at them each, charting them in a vacuum and whatever?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, man. I tend to, I know everybody wants to talk about correlations and this and that. I'm not a big fan of correlations. Generally, alts have moved a certain way when Bitcoin's moved a certain way. But what I've just found out through the years is just chart the freaking chart. Stop worrying about the rest of the nonsense. Chart the chart, use proper risk management. As long as you're using proper risk management, you're going to be all right. The problem is most people don't, and that's what gets them hurt. So yeah, I don't really kind of wait. I look in there and I see, and okay, because even if Bitcoin's moving up and alts are moving down, you can still find opportunities to go along with some alts, or the other way around. So yeah.
Absolutely. Here, just pull up something else. Weiss is here. We met him in Vegas.
Yeah, what's up, Weiss?
Front and center. What's up, man? Good to see you. I knew he'd be here. I knew he'd be here. So what do you got here? Oh, Elf, man. I haven't seen this in 100 years. We used to trade the hell out of this thing. Oh,
man, what I like about this, man, is we've got, again, this great range here, right? And we've got the volume drop off. We've got the big pickup in volume at the bottom on the spring. We've got this. Just look at this rally. Just amazing fun rally here. Expansion of volume, larger candle spreads. It's what you want to see. We've broken out above the weekly pivot. We're pulling back to test it as support. And man, oh man, that weekly Stoch RSI is almost resetting down there. So I really like it. I like, again, the breakout of that descending resistance. We're seeing that across so many charts, after a year long or 2 years, whatever it's been, depending on what chart you're looking at. So, right now I want to see it hold here. If it can hold here and pop above, what is that? 0.3373. I think you can easily look for an R1 pivot target. So that gets you right up there around 0.4657. I haven't actually done a count or anything on this. Yeah, but again, if the pivot's holding and we're rallying back up, and especially if we get like around that R1 and pull back to this area right here, and then we go again, man, there's nothing, you should plan on it going through the R5 pivot. It's just the way pivots tend to work. Again, no guarantees, but most of the time, if you get this breakout, retest, rally up to the R1 or the R2, kind of come back here and break out again, there's literally, little to nothing stopping it from reaching the R5.
Can you imagine if these like 2000, that coin, I guess, was later. I can't see the years on the bottom.
Yeah, it was a little bit later. That was 20. It looks like October of 2021 here on the Binance.
Maybe that's on Binance. Yeah, I feel like it. But can you imagine if these tokens actually, how much it would rock the minds of people if these return to their highs?
Oh man, it would very much upset them.
Oh my God. Phil Swati says he can come on and school all of us. I think he means the comments. He couldn't possibly mean you and I.
Hey, well, you know what? I'm okay with that, right? So, I've got this extensive education.
Why I'm here.
I like school. I've got extensive education.
You have 17. Chris has more degrees than my entire extended family combined.
It's sad, isn't it?
No, it's good. You're educated, as we say in the old town. So yeah, we're definitely going to do that next week if you guys are available. I think that would be a lot of fun. I'm with you. It looks like everything has just started, but man, that's scary to me.
Well,
which to me means we get some sort of massive pullback here to shake everyone out, and then we go. That 25 Bitcoin, we see alt sort of disproportionately. And by the way, I want to note for people, if you're relatively new, pivots are a really, really cool and simple indicator what he's using, because they end up largely aligning with lines you may have drawn anyways, but they're math. There's nothing arbitrary. You literally click on pivots and it gives them to you. They're defined lines based on the price action. So you don't have to argue with people over using the wick or the body or what's an accurate line or descending. They're just math. Doesn't mean they work better or worse, but if you're looking for a simple strategy, a way to say, listen, I don't really know how to look at this chart and figure out where the line should be, it delivers them to you.
fantastic place to start. I always tell people when they first start out, man, because I know when I first started, my biggest thing was, people were like, oh, swing high, swing low. And I'm like, well, what the hell is a swing high and a swing low? And it took a while, at least for me, when I first started, 400 and some years ago, to kind of figure out what exactly where those things are, what were they meaning, as far as that stuff goes. And, so again, if you're new, and even if you're not new, just pivots. Look, I'm doing this for almost 30 years now, and I still keep pivots on there. They're just, once you learn to work with them, and these are, by the way, there's multiple kinds of pivots. These are just your traditional pivots. It's just, it really can help give you, some quick look at, well, am what I'm thinking really probably going to happen, or should I be looking elsewhere? So it's a great quick kind of look.
I mean, it's hard to argue with that pivot right there where price is trading. I mean, that's exactly literally where you would draw a horizontal support and resistance within, 5% on either side. But you're not trying to hit the exact line anyways. And look how it just bounced off of it.
Yep.
With the wick below too, it's pretty savage.
Exactly. So we'll see how it turns out this week. We'll see what kind of volume we can get on that.
How are you these days? Like, how are you determining what to take a look at? Like, if you're like, oh, alts could look good here, what's the method to your madness?
So, me generally, I think one of the important things to understand when you're a trader is, who you are as a trader, where you're at. And so I'm at a different place than a lot of other people are, especially the newer ones, in terms of, my position size, stuff like that. And so the most important thing for me in any market is liquidity. So my favorite things to trade are those things which are liquid, right? So, I would choose to trade Bitcoin and Ethereum and, even like Litecoin and stuff like that over most everything else. I rarely will even look at these micro caps just because, again, the people that are usually trading these, especially at the beginning, it's like a scratch off ticket form, which isn't trading, guys. And I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings, but let's be honest, it's not trading. You're throwing a few bucks in and hoping it goes up, right? Now, that's fine. You can do that, but don't do that and say, oh, look, I'm a trader. You're not, okay? It's just, you're taking chance. And I know I'm upsetting people, I'm sure, right now with that, but
I don't think you're upsetting our crowd. I think you might be upset. I think the people who come here have given up on me throwing them like lottery tickets.
Yeah. So, but when I'm looking at alts, I'm looking at, usually bigger alts. So, things like BNB or, again, in the end of December there, I was on the Wendy O show, and, at the time, I bring this up because I got so much flack for it, but Solid just hit that $9 area. And I said, hey, listen, we bought here and it looks like a good buy for me. If we break 15, we're probably going to 30. And, so far we've been up around 27 or 28 so far. I've raised my target, I think, to like 51. I have to check again now. But, it's just about, especially when the crowd kind of reaches a certain frenzy, at the time when I was talking about that was the same, prior to that we had, I was talking about LTC, Litecoin there at around $50 in October. I think is the post on my Twitter. And at that time was talking about 100 plus, and, we've hit 100 plus. Everybody in that last few months of Q4 was like, everything's dead, right? ADA is such trash. It's dead. GBTC is dead. Oh, look, they're going to go under and all this. And I kept telling everybody, listen, you're hearing all this. This is the kind of sentiment that you're looking for. This is when you go, okay, we're likely to get a rally out of this area. This is what you're not just, oh, my feed is kind of bearish or bullish, and, and I'm just going to be contrarian to be contrarian, but that was the stuff you were looking for. And I said, don't sleep on them. I said, we got upside targets here, and, we've done it. And so, but for me, again, I don't really do the whole micro cap thing because I'm not trying to,
it's not worth it.
Yeah, it's not consistent gains. That's what I'm looking for.
Fun to chart though.
They can definitely be crazy. And if you get in it, I can just say, guys, listen, I'm not knocking you if you get into it. Just understand what you're doing, understand who you are at that point. And when you're making profit, take profit. Stop hitting yourself over, it went up higher and I didn't get that. You're going to get a lot of that in your lifetime as a trader. The goal should be to get the meat of the movement, guys. It should be like getting this. It's not catching this low. It's not catching this high. It's getting this stuff in between here. If you can do that consistently, you're going to be further ahead than 98% of retail traders out there, guys.
Well, I think we need to do this more consistently on Wednesdays. You guys can
For
tell me
sure.
in the comments if you agree. But the thing is, so, I used to do all this trading content, and we'd have all these amazing traders come on. Nothing against them. It's just, it didn't air enough towards, I think, educational and risk management. And it drew a crowd of people, I think, who were just looking to buy a cash tag that we threw up or a chart that we threw up. And so
Yeah.
sadly, I just kind of stopped doing it. But that's what people followed us for in the first place, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And and it's sad, unfortunately it is what it is. But hopefully y'all that are listening, if you hadn't thought so seriously about risk management stuff like that, hopefully you're really taking it seriously now, because I'm going to tell you, if you're not going to get where you want to get as a trader. You say you want to be a trader, you want to do these great things. You have to do the things that traders do. And that's taking risk management seriously. That's, looking at the meat of the trade, not trying to catch the absolute low and the absolute high. Stuff like that. That kind of stuff will just get you. It'll kill you faster than anything else in the markets, guys.
Absolutely. I see a really nice comment here. You're welcome, TW, for all of that. Thank you guys for showing up every week. All right, so Chris, we're gonna get off and we're gonna plan something. People are saying like it's Wednesday. That's how I feel. I literally don't know what day it is. Even to the degree, guys, that like I realized I'm not. I know it's been a weird week, but I'm not going to be here the next 2 days. Actually, I have some stuff I have to take care of. So this will end up being my only stream of the week, which is not something I'm going to make a habit of. I will be back to full consistency on Monday, but I think that we'll build something out of what's happening here. I don't want to put Chris on the spot because I know you actually have a life and your own streams and stuff, but I think we can build something here, even if it's every other week or whatever, where we're pretty consistent. We focus a little more on the educational side, look for some maybe more conservative ideas and less 100x meme coins, and, try to figure out a way to help people along here. And then, of course, I mean, guys like Chris and Fibbo Swanee over here, they have an amazing Discord that I was there from literally the very first day
from day one, man.
I just kind of got busy, but like it's where I spent 90% of my time for a solid 2 years. Yeah. And in your Trello group before that, of course.
Oh man, that was crazy.
Just funny, which is where I found Doge.
Yeah. We talked about the Doge cycle back then.
Man, good times. So guys, everybody follow Chris. It's TX West Capital. Check out the group, everything they got going on. And next week we're going to do it. Unless Fibbo Swanee's LARPing and he's not going to show up. I feel like he might stand us up just to be funny.
I think I know where he lives, so no worries.
You'll find him. Cool. I like it. Because like Mondays, the Macro Monday, it's been popular with having the consistent guests and people knowing what they're going to get when they show up. And Thursdays with the roundtables in general. So I think this would be a great way for me to have someone better than me to show people some trade ideas and how to do this. So I think we're on to something here, guys. All right, Chris, well, I'll see you next week. Fibbo Swanee, see you next week. Everybody else, I'll be back Monday. Weird. I didn't realize I wasn't going to be here the next 2 days, but my schedule says so. So peace, everyone. Thank you, Chris.
Peace out.